women, you need not raise your hands. If you like to, it's fine. How many women have felt that a man has mansplained something to you at some point in your life? That phrase means different things, perhaps, to different women. That it doesn't mean that men don't mansplain. It doesn't mean that women have not experienced being mansplained too. Some men might feel that they have been womansplained too on different topics, whatever the topic may be. So this dynamic of non-optimal communication, meaning that if either person in any conversation feels not respected, not honored, not valued, not appreciated, assumed to be less knowledgeable or less capable or less anything than the speaker on any topic, does that tend to enhance the quality of communication? And that said, are there vast differences in experienced reality and relationship dynamics within men compared to women? Not in all cases, simply in many. And how do we bridge that communications gap optimally? When people are triggered or they're in their ego process, they're often not as polite or respectful in their communications. And so if we communicate that, as you've expressed, that there is a protocol that you would prefer was followed in terms of explaining anything, if that's proactively communicated and then repeated, likely necessary for it to be repeated, then it gives the other person the opportunity to learn to be more respectful of your process of processing and receiving communications. If we work towards listening and hearing and making space for others to communicate, and also communicating to them how we can optimally receive their communications, then we can learn to talk apples to apples and oranges to oranges and have less triggering in the process, because there is a recognizable dance step that we both understand, or protocol and process. Or everybody in a team, for example, can have a specific protocol that they follow, and it's an agreed upon approach, and it can be refined and evolved as time goes by. And if absent such a process, a conscious process, subconscious communications tend to become mixed in with the conversation, and then those subconscious parts can react, and once they do react or get triggered, then it tends to limit the quality of the conversation. Weeks back, we showed a picture of someone who is winding string around a stick, or tape around a stick. And that was a metaphor for recording prior conversations or life experiences in whatever way we interpreted them, that could be painful interpretations. And then they get recorded in the system, kind of track by track, like on a hard drive of a computer or on a DVD. So once those tracks are recorded in a person's system, they become reference material, and they become associated with prior conversational dynamics. And thus they become projected onto the present moment. So even if in the past there were arguments or disagreements, that fear of the pain of those arguments and disagreements that was as of yet unresolved from the past becomes triggered and immediately projected onto the present moment, even if the communication that is wanting to be communicated is very benign or positive or caring or loving or well-intended. So if one was to say to a family member or spouse or a friend or whatever, in the past, I would have asked you if you minded if I said something or talked about a certain topic. And I recognize that that the past conversations might not have gone well for various reasons. Nobody was right, nobody was wrong. That's just the way they went. And I'm hoping that we can have a conversation now that won't be in any way associated with the past conversations, and that we can both curate or develop together in mutual respect and love and care and receptive kindness. And I don't expect that. And I'm just hoping that we can start with a very small topic, something that's completely benign, no potential for argument. It's even if it's what are we going to have for dinner? Does it make sense that, at least in our experience, and we mean this as a compliment, women are generally more articulate and nuanced in their communications than men? And whether that's due to learning to navigate the egoic process of men or other reasons, just innate qualities. I did hear a few years back that the parts of the brain that govern language processing in women are more like a superhighway, whereas for men they're like a very narrow path. If that's the case, if men don't have as much capacity to hear the nuance and process not just the words, the energy, empathetically process the emotion of it, suss out the nuance and the deeper meanings that women might communicate from, then and if men have in the past wanted to be in dominant positions or to be right or egoic or tribal or whatever, then might they misapprehend some of the communications of the feminine, which are well meant, to mean, oh, well, you're saying I'm not dominant, or I'm not manly, or I'm not in power, or I'm not decisive and capable, or that I'm not a success, or I'm not this, that, or the other, or that you are potentially challenging my power through your direct, clear communications. Again, the human system is designed in such a way as to genericize any experience we have, any trauma. If one was hurt, if a man was hurt by a woman earlier in life, they might generalize at the root chakra level that all women can hurt you, or they're bad, or they don't really care, or something like that. And women can generalize if they have been hurt or mistreated in any way by men. They can generalize that any man could hurt them or mistreat them. And this is, again, a knee-jerk reaction. It's subconscious, it's projective, and it occurs in all people to one extent or another, men and women. And that said, that tendency to generalize and extends to say, if it seems like there's a potentially aggressive man or woman in the room, if I have been hurt or even experienced having been killed in a prior lifetime by one of the opposite gender, we can equate even a minor degree of aggression with the potential for vast pain, suffering, or even death, reactively and subconsciously in the present moment. That doesn't mean that the aggressive person, whether a man or woman, actually intends to be violent or to cause harm or anything like that. And there's a part of our systems reflecting upon the prior experience that might say, oh, they might kill me, or they might hurt me, or they might wound me in some fundamental way. And that projection is taken by the subconscious as a real possibility, even if it's not. So the tendency to reflect upon those prior recordings as if they're realities or could become realities in the future, generates more issues than it protects us from, oddly enough. Fearing the possible negative future is generally not as generative of positive futures, so as we would hope. If we fear that bad things might happen, we almost can trigger them into happening sometimes. If we project the possibility of wonderful positive dynamics and relationship interactions, we tend to see those occur more often. So this choice of how we choose to see things, we often might not feel safe doing. We may not feel safe seeing the silver lining in the cloud, or seeing other people as well-meaning and well-intending, or projecting optimistically that if we operate in a caring, loving way, that others will operate in a like manner towards us. And so the release of those prior traumas, fears, wounds, etc., can be incredibly freeing, because it subtracts the dynamic of potential projection or generalization onto opposite gender, or even onto our own genders. There are men who fear the violence of men. There are women who fear the emotional or verbal violence of women. Being able to see without projection is optimal, and it's something to be esteemed to or worked towards, to simply see what is, whatever it is, as it is, without projection, without distortion, without comparison, without association with past experience. And it's challenging, and it's such a nuanced process, and you folks are all developing those capacities. And it tends to dial down unwanted experiences interactively, relationally, and interpersonally.